Just, I came off that week with the 4 little kids and now they're gone, but I'm as prepared for this as I was last week. So it'll be just as much fun. Today we're talking about pain, and I thought let's talk about, and we'll have discussion after 10 minutes, some of the newer things, not the traditional, let's go take an aspirin kind of thing. And Meg reminded me that we need to look at the whole body. And we need to do this for ourselves because our modern medical system does not. If you've got something wrong with your foot, they look at the foot. They'll try to fix the foot. They won't notice if the opposite hip is not working right or other things are off. So you have to look at this for yourself. These are the 4 things I think are more trendy or coming, and those are the brain. I know we're talking about pain, but the brain, the breath, vibration, and myofascial release. So I'm going to quickly talk about those, and then we can open it up and you guys can talk about things. First of all, the brain. There's more and more research, and you will see it over and over and over again. In the past, maybe 8 years, it's constant, and this is in the medical community. So they are using this. A couple things about the brain. They say that if you've got a client who's got shoulder pain, and you know how when you have pain, that's all you can think about? Well, then you try to have their brain go somewhere else. So you have them walking and you say, now, how do your hips feel? Are your hips, are they working well? And do they feel like they're equal? And how are your feet hitting and stuff like that, so that they have to focus on other things. And it sounds like a trick, but truly it's evidence-based. So using the brain like that. The other thing is that we in relaxation, like in I Chi, we say, take a deep breath and send good air to that shoulder so it can start to work again. And we use slow, easy movements, and they have to be submerged in the water. So you can use the brain to either focus on it or not focus on it, but using the brain is the thing. Also, there's research that says what you expect is what comes. So if you expect you're going to put your hand on that stove, if you expect it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. But if you expect you can get it on and off quickly and it won't hurt, it's not going to hurt. So, and this is proven scientifically also. It's evidence-based that it's what you expect. So if people are thinking, oh, I know I'm going to wake up and my shoulder is going to be hurting again, and it's going to be hard for me to move, and it's going to throw off everything, that's what's going to happen. And I think you guys all know all that. So very quickly, that's the brain. Then the breath, and I think all of you have heard me talk about this, and I could talk for a couple hours. I'm only going to tell you diaphragmatic breathing. We have thoracic breathing, we have clavicular breathing. Don't use those. Go to diaphragmatic breathing. It decreases pain. In order to make sure you're taking well, first of all, if you try to take a deep breath, I have many people go, and their shoulders come up. That's the deep breath, because we're using thoracic and clavicular breathing instead of diaphragmatic. Diaphragmatic, you can, without any thought, all you have to do is put your tongue behind your top front teeth as you inhale, and it will expand just below the floating rib, that bottom rib. It'll expand outwards and around in a 360-degree way. That's a diaphragmatic breath. I also will have people use the letter N. Inhale with the letter N, because it puts your tongue right there, doesn't it? And then we will use ah for exhalation. If somebody's got pain, in with an N, out with an ah. And as I said last time, the research shows that 3 repetitions of ah decreases pain immediately. People relax. So the diaphragmatic breathing also, it'll decrease blood pressure, abnormal tone. It'll decrease spasticity, stress. It decreases pain and pain awareness. So that, remember I talked about the brain? That if we do diaphragmatic breathing and we think about it, then we're thinking about breathing, not the pain. So it decreases the awareness of the pain that you have. It decreases your breathing cadence. It decreases using accessory muscles when you're breathing. You want to just use the diaphragm. You just want to use the breathing muscles, not use uh, basic skeletal muscles. Yeah, so diaphragmatic breathing is awesome, and it also increases a lot of things. One thing I like is that it decreases pain, and we know that people who have pain can't sleep very well at night, but diaphragmatic breathing increases restorative sleep. So it allows them to sleep a little bit better if they can get into that diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so the brain, the breath, then vibration. I was just telling Bonnie when she got on that I just finished a book, writing a book, not reading, on vibration because it is used for so much healing. And that vibration might be nature, but it might be the water that you're in, or the water that you're drinking, or the vibration of the water that's inside of you, any of those kinds of things. So I got kind of excited, started writing an article, and it turned into a book. But it's at layout now, and then hopefully it'll get published for next month. I don't know, whenever it happens. But vibration, whether it's shaking, whether Bonnie told me, which is why I started talking about this with her, that I had told her about, I think, a Rife machine, RIFE, and it's not a machine, it's just an application, a computer application, and it costs quite a bit of money, but it has different illnesses, and you put it going, and it sends these vibrational frequencies out, and you can use headphones and put them on your shoulder or wherever you need it. But there are so many things, and it's been used in ancient times, but now it's coming back. It's coming back, and you're going to see a lot more research, and it's not used a lot in clinical medicine because you can't really charge for it. Well, you do for e-stim. Electrical stimulation is vibration. So it's used in those ways, but there's something now called a med bed that not only vibrates, but uses different frequencies to fix you. And there are different frequencies of vibration that assist with different things. So last week, I think I talked about solfeggio frequencies, or maybe it was a week before, what do I remember? Solfeggio, SOLFEGGIO, I think I got that right. And if you Google it, there are a bunch of frequencies. You can have them as just a humming sound. You can have them in music. You can get different music for different things. So you know that the music you use, those of you working in classes, you know that the music can uplift people and get them moving, or it can relax them and calm them down. And that's the same with any vibration. Thank you. So last, and Reiki. Reiki, if you know Reiki at all and it's being used as a Reiki master, I learned I don't even touch the person. I just put my hand above whatever it is, and it starts to make changes, and you can feel it if you can quiet yourself enough. Last one is myofascial release. It's truly the fascia, not the muscle, usually. That's the problem. Thanks, Linda. And I already talked about myofascia in an earlier visit. I can't remember when, but if the fascia gets twisted around the muscles, it's going to create more problems. It's People will call it nerve damage, and it's not nerve damage. They'll call it muscle damage. It's not that, but it is the myofascial sheath that goes over those muscles. And it's not that you don't have nerve damage, but it's not as common as myofascial issues. So those are the four things I think that we can focus on. I talked about using aqua stretch or any kind of manual work to try to get rid of those adhesions in the myofascial sheath. Okay, so I'm done. Linda's giving me the sign.
I'm using your clock behind you. So it's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Any one of you could have given me the time thing. Okay, so I'm done and it's your turn. Yes,
I have a
Edie.
question. Okay, so I'm fascinated with the focus on vibration. I treated complex chronic pain for the past 20 years of my career as a PT, and aquatics was part of it, and myofascial release was part of it as well. But one of the things that I used to augment that was something called a biomat, and it's I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of it before, but it is a it uses far infrared rays, and it's a mat that was on my table all the time. It was always running, and it sent electrical energy through amethyst and tourmaline crystals, and it vibrated. The way it heated the body, it would heat the body in at least 6 inches. They said they couldn't guarantee anything more than that, and it did it by vibrating this intercellular fluids. And so the intercellular fluids were moving around. That was creating friction, which created heat, but it also created relaxation of the tissues. And I had it on all the time. And we tried to get one of the other clinics that was associated with mine to use it. And they said, oh, we don't have enough time. We don't have enough room. And I thought that's a bunch of baloney. So a couple of times, one of their patients came over and we put them on, and they said, wow, I feel so amazing. How come you must be really good? And I'm going, no, well, that'd be nice, but I think it has something to do with the mat. I also had another lady who came in who looked like death warmed over. She came with a big basin because she had both her adrenals taken out for medical reasons, and so she wasn't feeling very good. So I evaluated her lying on the table, and at the end of the visit, I looked at her and I said, "How do you feel?" She said, "Well, when I came in, I was like an 8 out of 10, and right now I'm about a 3. Can I get one of these?" I thought, wow, I'm impressed. So it's a pretty impressive um, addition. And it was fun for me to hear that you're talking about the vibration being so helpful, which does make sense. I have a chi machine that actually my son took from me because I don't have enough room where I live. And he uses it on a regular basis because he's got aging legs. And so it's just amazing how vibration or rocking or rebounding, all that stuff has just been so helpful in pain management. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Edie is obviously way ahead of the modern medical system. And yet she worked in it and she used her own brain. Okay, I saw that lots of you wanted to talk.
Ruth, I just wanted to check in with you about the myofascial release because, I'm not in the pool as much as I was, but I do a lot of personal training. Have an awful lot of clients that have neuropathy. They think in their feet, but, we work on a lot of things. Obviously, their ankles are stiff and everything else, but they can't. I'm fascinated when you say the fascia is twisted around the muscle, but is there anything else you can talk to about them feeling getting a little more sensation there, or how to untwist that fascia, like from I guess, a safe perspective as a trainer. And I'm going to go to Duke with her in 2 weeks. I'm going to go up and she's going to have another evaluation done. So I'm pretty excited to go be part of that process. But on a regular basis, I do what you say. She walks from her hip instead of from her feet because she can't feel her feet. So just a little more on that if you could.
Okay, Meg wants to talk, and there was some great stuff. Was that on ATRI ELIS this week about it?
Oh.
That was outstanding. So first of all, there are points on the foot. And if you, what I do is I look up acupoints for neuropathy. Then if you don't mind touching them, and everybody
Yeah.
says, oh, I can't touch them because I'm not a PT. You know what? If you teach swimming, you touch the kid or you touch
Yeah.
the adult. I ignore all of that. You do what feels right to you. So there are points around the ankle, points just as if this were my big toe, just up here. And there are points above each, and just press it and have them move the way they feel like they should, because it's all intuitive. Our bodies know how they got wound up and they know how to unwind. So any kind of light massage, even if she starts it herself.
Yeah,
I
she's
think-
up to that. She does barefoot. I do some barefoot training with her too, so we're totally okay with that. So, okay. Cool.
And Meg wanted to answer also. You're muted.
You brought me into the technology world. So hi everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Meg, and I am a PT, physical therapist. No, I'm not a physical therapist. But the point is, so one thing that I've shared with Ruth recently is that where pain is, and is it nerve damage? And I am a medical coder, so I would like to put out there just we can get paid for what we do. It's a matter of how like all this stuff is incorporated, and we call it Aqua, and it's one code, and there's like say 200 and some codes. But regarding feeling and with my own experience right now, I've been using different material, meaning that they give you when they do the toe crunch with a towel, and that's what you do in PT.
Mhm.
Well, have you done it with a scarf? Have you done it with ice? Have you picked up marbles? Have you, like all the stuff that Ruth has explained, like alleviating that, as well as using the Feldenkrais method if they're on, if you put them on the table and they're on that sticky, on the sweater. So now they put me on the table and my back is sticking to it. And I'm like, this is so gross. But I'm like, right now I'm moving off of it, but I'm pressing into it. And I don't need a fancy machine. We do this to get out of bed. You just press into it. Like, can you just peel that off my back? And so you could do that with your feet, use it as a wet, use ice, use temperature, because with my ADHD, he says, I want you to focus on the breath. This was really helpful. What's the temperature of your breath when you're breathing in and out? Is it hot? Is it cold? Feel the sensation. Same thing led to my feet. Like, I'm like, oh, I put ice in, I put a balloon and I froze it. And if you bring that into the water, you're actually using the warmth, cold and hot, and you're moving your hands. So, and you could do that with your feet too. It's going to pop up, so it's a safe place. Same thing with your shower. Does anyone take a cold shower? Ruth, you brought this up as well. Take a cold shower. And we're all like, oh, it's going to be cold. Instead, you're going to sit there and say, I'm expecting it's going to be cold, and you're going to take it. Now, if it's freezing cold, of course, you're going to go like this. Well, now you're vibrating, right? I did this morning and I'm like, this is interesting. And I needed that because, well, part of the coping skills that they say is to splash cold water on your face. You take it and it's almost like it's temporary. But if you actually sit with that running water and again, be present with the water and the sensation, and then I actually turned on the hot and the tone started doing the solfege. It started going, like the hot water is like, I don't want to go on, and then it started getting warmer. So we had that vibration from the faucet as well as our body shifting. So the idea is using temperature, using texture differently. So my question is, as PTs, do you use different textures, be it if it's your feet, your back, or whatever, meaning if it's a soft, silky, jacket, or if it's a rough, coarse, a Brillo pad or a sponge that feels like yucky, because we're not used to yucky sensations. So we are like, we don't touch me with that, including a person. Like now we don't touch. Like if that person has coarse hands and they play the bongos and then they touch your skin and you're like, oh, it's so nice, you're so cute, but your hands feel like, you've been working all day. So that's my take.
Thank you. And didn't I just send out a bunch of stuff on neuropathy that
That's what
I,
I was thinking of too.
yeah, I sent out an article and and the foot tripod video that were free. So
I have a tripod.
Okay.
You know, my dog is a tripod. And I looked at her from above. Like if you look at Sandy, it's the foot, meaning she's got big foot. I could show you her. And I've actually, because she's a tripod, so the way her body moves is like this. And if I could, I'll show you Sandy, but I'm saying I've looked at her and the way she's balanced her foot, but her body constantly has to move like this. So if I've been watching her just walking and her foot goes, you know, this is her body, her top of her body will move. I could show you her so I could tell you what I mean. But that hidden thing, because also my foot is the problem right now. I cannot, I hit one point, but anyway, sorry.
If you want me to send you and you didn't get that neuropathy stuff, please email me, ruthsova@ruthsova.com, and I'll try to get it out.
Very
Okay. Yes, Mimi.
I just wanted to add one thing for Mary Beth, because you said you're not working that much more in the water. You're working more on land now? Okay, me too. I find that when we're talking about myofascial release, and it's not just myofascial, it's fascia in general. What happens a lot of the times when people are locked in the hips or in any part of the body, they're not drinking enough water, because fascia is basically water. So if you're not drinking enough water, but I mean, not like 8 glasses a day, a lot of water, because if you're having, if when you, I find it when I'm on a foam roller on my quads, and all of a sudden on the quad, it'll go thonk, thonk. That's, I got to drink more water, because my fascia are locking into the muscle, which is supposed to slide and glide and separate and connect. And instead it's just holding it there. And this is held here and here. And when the foam roller goes, that happens. So really drink a lot more water. And I like to use I have these myofascial release balls that are very soft, and I press them on the floor and I put them under the metatarsals, and then we roll them back and forth. And then I do what we call the cobblestones. You know, you put it on in front of your heel and you move side to side. So you're basically moving your foot in every possible direction. And it's extremely pleasurable, because when people go through, what are you going to do? You're going to massage each foot for 5 minutes with this ball. And it's wonderful. Everybody's really happy when we do that. And that's part of my class where I do the breathing and the other stuff too. But everything is fascia now. And since I've been to the fascial dissection courses that are done by the NTC, you just learn so much about how the fascia isn't just myofascia. Everything is fascia. And John Sharkey says, even blood is fascia. Bones are fascia. Everything is fascia. We are one unit. We are not systems. We are one unit that's differentiated because of the DNA that tells what your function is supposed to be. So if you have problems in the foot, it's probably coming out of your base, which is the lumbosacral area. And that's where everything we do, every movement we do comes out of there. So I move the hips.
Thank you.
That.
And
Water,
if
water.
if you look at research, myofascial, myo means muscle. So myofascial is the fascia that's covering the muscles. If it's covering tendons, organs, any ligaments, those kinds of things, then it's called fascia. But I can tell you that if you're trying to promote working with the fascia, I tried to offer a course once on fascia, and people thought it was facial.
Yes.
So totally, I always use myo in front of it, because most of it is muscle related. And that's what I'm focusing on. I don't focus at all on the face. Sorry.
We do a lot of work with neurofascia.
Uh-huh.
You know, the fascia that covers the nerves, and how they're supposed to glide when you're doing neurodynamic work. You know, you're flossing and you're tensioning, and that's really important. And fascia is such an important, and there again, water. You have to drink a lot of water so you
Absolutely.
maintain the fluidity. Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up. Anybody else want to jump in? No,
I'd like to
Patty.
say something about that. I work with some people who have neuropathy, and it's not always related to hip necessarily. It is, indeed, it could be related also to blood flow to the feet. Just those valves not being able to get the blood down to the feet and them not being able to feel the sensation when they walk or anything. So there is some nerve damage that can occur that I've heard of. But as far as the fascia, I have been looking into pandiculation. Did you write anything about that in your book, Ruth, about pandiculation, which is our natural way of like releasing tension in our body when we like stretch or move? And I encourage that with fascia training, which is a lot of when I put on music, I'll put on a slower beat of 85 beats per minute and move through these big, large range of motion, not in the water, on land, because it also takes a lot of core control and a lot of balance.
Mhm.
So did you write anything about that? And second of all, I do believe that diaphragmatic breathing is so important for getting to sleep, but I've also read about how sounds to get to sleep, they have these sound apps, which my Wayne is using now. Yes. And it has waves, the sound of the ocean, regulating the breathing, getting you into that deep state. So there's a lot to be said. I believe there's a lot of science behind all of that as well. Just
Perfect.
wondering.
Yes, there is. Thank you. Patricia,
Mhm.
anybody else want to jump in?
Just, can I say one thing regarding diaphragmatic breathing? And you've been great on using the sound. If you use the like if you're going to go walking and then do your inhale through your nose and try to just go from your throat instead of the front of your teeth, you're actually going to go like start with that.
Okay, we're all trying.
Yeah,
Really.
but it's a possibility. Instead of starting, it got me to get diaphragmatic breathing correctly, but the point is to use different sounds. Like that was my point, saying what Patricia was emphasizing about sound.
Yeah, all vibration, all that sound is. And the exhalation, I say ah, but you can say om, you can say ooh, you can do whatever you want as long as there's that letting go.
Well, you could also inhale with your throat closed as well. But
Right, right. I got that. Anybody else want to jump in?
Just to
Oh,
remind
there goes Mimi
everybody about
again. Wait,
I'm
before
sorry.
Mimi talks again, anybody else? Bonnie? Did you? No? So I thought I saw somebody. No. Okay, Mimi.
It's me again. Anyway, I just wanted to remind everybody that when we do I sent you the video. Did you share it with the other people, Ruth? The video of the posture?
I got
Anyway.
something.
Yeah.
I sent
did.
everything you sent me
Oh,
out.
okay. Because we do the breathing and we call it 3D breathing on the inhale.
Yes,
And what we do, I have people think about sending the air, shoulders down under the sternum, and then we send it sideways, laterally, and then back between the shoulder blades so that you're filling the lungs 3D, okay? And the exhale is from the bottom up. So we start off by, every breath is an abdominal exercise as far as we're concerned, okay? So when I'm exhaling, I am contracting from the pubis to the belly button, to the diaphragm, and up in the air. It's like you're cleaning your glasses or something. So it's inhale, it's a 3D inhale, and an uplifted exhale. And what we do it for, we do it because it's basically to prevent pelvic floor dysfunction and incontinence and these kind of things. So this is the breathing, but it's every breath you do is an abdominal exercise because we're working the exhale, pushing it upwards. So it's like a compression of the viscera. So, and it's wonderful for people who have who can't go to the bathroom.
Incontinence.
Constipated.
Constipation. Thank you. Thank you. I'm in Italy, so let me just show you. This is where I am in the mountains outside of Rome. But and that's how we do the breathing, and it's just so filling. And it's slow. And each breath is about 12 seconds. So we do 4 seconds on the inhale and 8 seconds on the exhale from the bottom up. And we do at least 3 of those. And then we change positions and we're moving the arms and we're doing neurodynamics and stuff like that. But the breathing is so important, and it all works really slowly and in time with micro management of the fascia, all fascia. Myofascial,
Yeah.
neurofascia, and everything.
I just want to point out what she's doing is awesome, and using the breath is awesome. As long as it's a diaphragmatic breath, you are going to elicit a parasympathetic response, so it will calm the body. But you will also hear of the huffing breath, the hissing breath, the breath of fire, breath retention, breath suspension. As she was talking about equal nostril breathing, you'll hear about all these different breathing systems. If you want people to relax, you do them with diaphragmatic breathing. So you can use, if you do yoga and you're using huffing, ha ha, you can use diaphragmatic breathing to do that. You can use it with the hissing breath, with the huffing breath, with all of the different kinds of breath. But as long as we get back to diaphragmatic, and there are a few different ways to do that, because we have anatomical and biomechanical breathing, which is a whole nother thing. But yes, and that system works. As long as you do the diaphragmatic breathing. You can use NG, you can use N, you can use whatever you want. You want a diaphragmatic exhalation, and the benefits are tremendous. So yeah, thanks, Mimi.
It takes practice. My older folks have a real hard time with it. My older 80, 90-year-olds, they're like they just don't have the lung capacity. I don't think, because all of their fascia around their core, and some of them have, a bunch of osteoporosis. So that makes it more difficult, but it's still beneficial.
Well, it's
Correct.
like I talked about last week. If you don't have that alignment, it's very difficult. So you need to have the alignment. But yeah, you're never mind. I don't want to get too much into
No,
it,
it's
but
fine.
yeah, the breath is great. And using the brain, making the brain. It's hard for people. We were born doing diaphragmatic breathing, but our bodies find the easiest way to do things. So if the easiest way to sit right now is leaning on a chair or leaning on whatever, our bodies find that easy way, and we have to take it back. And the main thing is the breath. So take back breathing. Okay, someone else who hasn't spoken? Questions? Okay, Meg wants to jump in again.
I was just going to say, connecting the brain and the breath is that counting to oneself, meaning you're like inhale for 4 and exhale. And so when you're coaching, it's hard to do the same inhaling as we exhale. So you are connecting the brain with the breath, and you could count in different languages, as well. But it's just that 1, 2, 3, and we're also doing this where we're using the tempo. And I love the imagery that you had me with this. It's kind of like, and that's where we're sort of like pushing up was very, and a lot of, I need imagery, so that helps me, but also with the breath. And even when we say light, using that. So I just thought that was great.
Thank you.
Can I say?
Sure.
Wait, was that?
I just wanted to say again, I teach an awful lot of chair yoga right now. And I loved what Bruce said in the beginning about, what you expect is what comes. So when we start our class and we center and we ground and all of that, bringing intention. So making it intentional. So if you, again, coming back to your breath is intentional, your movement's intentional, connect your mind with your breath. And I think it is a lot about intention. And for all of us, if you are teaching, I believe the way you, I guess, put that out there to the universe and ask, that's what comes back to them. And that's what I find at the end. So I'm just saying, if you can set an intention for yourself when you start, whether it's in the water or land, wherever you are, it comes back to you. But you have to connect that immediately when you start with them. So that's something I found.
Perfect. Are we good? Or yes, Jane?
So I've studied a lot of breathing. So different breaths are used for different purposes. And I'm sure you know that. So the diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing is for relaxation. If you breathe more into your lower ribs as well, which you're doing in belly breathing, this elicits more of the parasympathetic nervous system. But if you're going out for a run, that may not be what you want to do. So in Tai Chi, they teach reverse breathing. In yoga, we teach different types of breathing. So it's great to have all of these things at your disposal for use when you want to use them.
Perfect.
And the other thing I wanted to say, I've been using a pulse electronic magnetic frequency mat for a long time. And they're wonderful. It also has infrared heating, other things. And it makes you feel great.
Wonderful. Thanks,
And
Jane.
I use it for my my students if I have them on the table in Feldenkrais as well.
Perfect. Thank you. So yes, diaphragmatic breathing elicits a parasympathetic response, which is considered the rest and digest. Thoracic breathing, which is chest breathing, opening and closing, that elicits a sympathetic response, which is prepare to move, get going, take care of. It's when a dog comes running out in the road ahead of you and you have to respond very quickly. Any of those kinds of things. So we need both. The problem is we tend to be overly stimulated with sympathetic, and we need to bring them to balance in order to get rid of that pain, in order to have our healthiest function. So,
yeah.
Thanks, Jane.
And I also think when you're doing these different types and concentrating, say like Mimi was saying, I'm doing 4 for the inhale, 8 for the exhale, etc. It occupies your brain.
Yes.
So you don't have time to be worrying about what's for dinner or what the government is doing or those things, because your brain is so already taken up.
Yep, exactly. So we need to be aware, as Meg said, and that's a difficult thing for us because we're always thinking of what's coming next and what we have to do next. So, okay, for pain, the only things I covered that we discussed, and I loved the discussion, we went over brain, using the brain, with expectations, with our focus. We talked about the breath, we talked about vibration, and we talked about myofascial release. We're good?
Yes.
And I'll be in touch. Write to me if you want the neuropathy things and you didn't get it. And otherwise, I'll be in touch with you about August. I'll get back just before the beginning. So I'll be back in town. Are we good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.